Hi everyone, Taylor from Doomed to Fail. Today we are re-releasing our episode on the Murdaugh Family Murders. Since then, this actually has been, I guess, resolved because the patriarch Alex is actually in jail now and has been convicted of murdering his wife and son. And I think they've opened up a second case or another case for the other son, Buster, because he probably killed someone as well. So it's wild. It's a Southern Gothic tale, as we like to say. Hope you enjoy. See you on the other side.
In the matter of the people of the state of California versus Orenthal James Simpson, case number
Cool.
BA09.
Okay.
My fellow Americans,
I do want to call the fact that I feel
what your
a little
country
bit
can do for you,
the fact that I spent all
and what
this
you
movie.
can do for your
And
country.
so I will try to
Okay, I'm ready.
Moving sucks.
Yes, don't. Oh, it sucks.
It's so bad.
I know. It's the worst. Every time I give like a bag away to like the thrift store or to charity or whatever, I'm like, this is a bag that I don't have to move in the future. I'm always like happy to get rid of stuff.
So far, between the two houses, I've done 8 runs personally with my pickup truck. Today, a giant mover took pretty much whatever was left. I still am gonna have to go do like 2, 3 more runs at the old house. Like it
Wow.
is, yeah. Anyways, I'm ranting. It's not reflective of what we're talking about here. Anyways, so let's get on to the true crime story of the week. And I got to tell you, Taylor, and I've told you this, I texted you about this last night. I absolutely just love this story so much. It just feels so old timey and southern, and not in like a Texas southern way, in
Mhm.
like a really like just gritty, fucked up southern way.
Well, I think that, I know that we want to like, tie our episodes together, but I also want to like surprise you with what I'm telling you. So we have to figure out how we do that. But I do think that there's a connection between these two stories because it's about like dynasties and people needing to be in
Yeah.
charge, right?
Yeah, that's actually a
Yeah.
really good way to put it. So, also, just so everybody knows, me and Taylor don't talk about our stories beforehand, for the most part. So, last night I texted Taylor that I'm really excited about today's podcast because it's about this particular family, and this was a huge news. And me and Taylor powwowed about it years ago when it first came out, and so she does know the topic of this conversation. But for the most part, we don't actually discuss it. But getting back to this family, this is the story of the Murdaugh family.
I
Murdaugh,
don't know.
Murdaugh.
You're supposed to know.
I didn't do that enough research. I'm gonna go with Murdaugh family,
Okay.
because it's Daugf, like
Yeah,
laugh with a D. So Murdaugh sounds right to me.
fine.
Okay,
Whatever.
but this is the story of the Murdaugh family, and I can't stress enough that this is an actual true story. It's gonna veer into like fucking Scooby Doo territory, but it's actually like a true story with like a really really real family. It has the ambiance and intrigue of Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. Did you read that
Oh,
one?
I love Midnight in the Garden of Good
Yeah,
and
I
Evil.
knew you. I knew you
Oh
would.
my God, I love it. I was talking to someone years ago and they said Savannah and I went like, ah, and they're like, have you been to Savannah? And I was like, no, I just fucking love Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil so much.
Yeah. So I've read the cliff notes of it, and actually
hmm
like it feels like something I should probably make an like incorporate into an episode at some point, because it's
Ugh.
a fascinating tale, amazing
hmm
characters. It's just, which I'm gonna actually get into here in a sec. So in general, Southern Gothic vibes have always intrigued me.
hmm
You're not from the South, Taylor.
I'm
Do
not, no.
you? But given what you literally just said, I think the answer to this is yes. But when I say or not yes, but like, I think you're gonna have an answer for this. When I say Southern Gothic, what comes to mind?
Immediately was the season of American Horror Story where there are witches in New Orleans. Is that close?
You know what I thought of? Have you ever seen the Skeleton Key?
Yes, with Kate Hudson?
Yeah, it's
Yes.
witchy. It's like
Yes.
gritty. It like it.
hmm
I love it
hmm
so much.
It's
Um,
just so humid. That's my only problem. But continue.
Mosquitoes. Lots of
Uh,
mosquitoes.
uh,
Lots and lots of mosquitoes. So Southern Gothic is defined as literature, stories, movies, etc., that include a presence of irrational, horrific, and transgressive thoughts, desires, and impulses, grotesque, grotesque characters, dark humor, and an overall angst-ridden sense of alienation.
Ooh.
That's a
Whoa.
lot, right?
I love it. Yeah.
And this story is all of that. All of it. I'm so excited about this one. Side note, I obviously did a deep dive into what like Southern Gothic is, examples of Southern Gothic literature and content. Um, and I was wondering what is the corollary to that in the North, and
Mhm.
there isn't actually. I don't know exactly why that is, but in general, it's considered that American Gothic is the closest corollary to Southern Gothic in the North.
Hmm. Hmm. I mean, I imagine here's what I would think. Like the history of the South is different than the history of the North, and like they from the very beginning they were divided over a whole bunch of stuff, mostly slavery, but obviously like they, lost that big old war they won't can't get over. And like I feel like maybe that is like a cloud
So I
with
actually
misery.
have a paragraph in this outline that I sketched out or crossed off that's all about why Southern Gothic exists in the way that it exists,
Hmm.
tying that directly to essentially not just slavery, but the inherent desire to not progress forward and
Yeah.
not to have things change, and how the cruelty of that and the evils of that instilled directly ties to this what's being described here: irrational,
Hmm.
horrific, and transgressive thoughts, desires and impulses, grotesque characters. Like
Hmm.
it's all one continuum.
Yeah,
So
totally.
so
Cool.
let's go ahead and get into the main characters that we'll be discussing. We have Alex Murdaugh. He's the main person we're going to be talking about today and the patriarch of this family.
Hmm.
We're going to go really deep in Alex's background here in a moment. We have Maggie Murdaugh. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Taylor.
I'm sorry, does he pronounce it Alec?
No,
He doesn't? Okay, I thought
it's
that I heard that somewhere.
Alex.
Totally. Okay, continue.
Yep. You have Maggie Murdaugh, who was Alex's wife. They married in 1993. And you have Paul, who was at the time of the events that we're going to discuss, Alex's 22-year-old son. They also have another son. He's semi-relevant, but not really. I'll talk about him for like a second. So let's dive into Alex's background. To say this guy was privileged would be doing a disservice to the word privilege. He was uber privileged. He was Kennedy family levels of privileged. I remember when this story first broke, and I'm sure you did too, Taylor, because you brought up the
Hmm.
dynastic nature of families,
Hmm.
how this prominent South Carolina legal family, and I was like, am I supposed to fucking know that? Like, am I supposed to know every family that's like a
Yeah,
big shot in their fucking backwater town?
right.
The side note of having a really good mic now in a mic setup is everybody can probably hear every sound my dog is making in this room. So
I only heard it just now. Look, I didn't hear her until right now.
okay, good,
I
good.
heard like a bell. Was that her? Did she have a
That
bell?
was her. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll figure out a new routine for
We should get
the
two
next podcast.
dogs so they can hang out with each other.
If I didn't have my family here in the other room, then I would just put Luna in her kennel. But then my mom's gonna start being nervous about it and try to let her
Oh,
out.
your
And then
mom's here? Oh, hi.
yeah, they're all here. Everybody's
Nice.
trying to help me move. So
Aw.
hold on, Luna, place. Okay, let me see if I can just let her out.
Okay.
No. Okay. Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, you were far away for a second, but you came back.
Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Okay. This family was legal royalty in South Carolina. From 1920 to 2006, three members of the family served as a district attorney for the 14th Circuit.
Wow.
I can't think in terms of circuits, like the size and scope and all that shit. So let's just say that they were the DA for five highly consequential counties, because a county makes more sense to
Hmm.
me.
Okay.
1920 to 2006. That is back to back. That's three members who held office, the same
Wow.
office for 86 years. So they were in.
Wow.
They were not primary. This was not like
Right.
a, they weren't being challenged for this.
Totally. The only lawyers that I know that well, you said you, but like I know I can name some of the like injury lawyers in Las Vegas because I see their
Yeah.
billboards all the time, but like, yeah,
I like the ones who do the commercials where they like slam a big hammer down.
yeah,
Um, so people actually refer to these 5 counties as Murdaugh country. Like it is colloquial. Their name is a
yeah,
colloquialism. That's the extent we're talking about here.
totally.
Taylor, have you seen Nothing But Trouble yet?
Yeah, yes, but I was like really young. I saw it like a really long time ago, and I feel like if I tried to make my husband watch it now, he would not watch it. So we should probably watch it together. When's the last time you saw it?
It was like a month ago.
Oh my God. How was it like? How was it? Had you seen it before? I have so
No,
many questions.
no. So I mean, that was the whole thing. Like our favorite podcast keeps talking about Nothing But Trouble. We're supposed to see it, and one night I was like, "Whatever, I'm just gonna finally get around to watching it." It is fucking horrible. Like it is a
Right?
shitty. It is a shitty fucking movie. It's fun. It's fun because you can see Dan Aykroyd having fun. You can tell he really, really relished that moment, and
Oh
so
my God.
out of love of Dan Aykroyd, I enjoyed that piece of it. But the reason I bring it up is that Bobo, who is Dan Aykroyd's character in the
Hmm.
movie Nothing But Trouble, th- he runs a podunk little town where he's kind of like the judge and the jury and everything. That's kind of what
Hmm.
this is. Like this family, we're gonna get into it. Like the amount of influence, like I'm so understating it right now.
Yeah. No,
And
and it sounds like a lot.
yeah, yeah. And by the way, when I say this family, I'm talking about Alex's father's side of the family. Like this is all
Got it.
lineage from Alex's father's side. And like from what I can gather, like this family just doesn't lose. In addition
Hmm.
to their public service, i.e., the DA stuff, they also run a really prominent civil litigation firm as well.
Hmm.
Even the way they became prominent in civil litigation is kind of shady
Hmm.
because they don't lose. Like they'll find the fucking way to get to the outcomes, which like I kind of admire. Um,
Don't
so
be don't have a criminal lawyer, have a criminal lawyer.
yeah, exactly. That's
Yeah.
exactly
Do
right.
you remember that? It was
Um,
in Breaking Bad. I didn't make that up, but
yeah,
remember?
yeah, that was Saul's. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was Saul. Right? Yeah. Um, again, we aren't a legal procedure show, but there's this concept I'm going to go into in law around jurisdiction. And a court has to determine if they have jurisdiction over the parties and to the claim to accept a civil case. There's a reason why I'm bringing this up. It's called subject matter jurisdiction. In a lot of cases, it is not up to the person, the plaintiff who files a lawsuit, to decide where they're going to file.
Hmm.
A certain court has that jurisdiction and others do not. In South Carolina, they passed a law that made the concept of forum shopping, I'm using quotation marks as a term of art, super easy. That's what really led to the success of the Murdaugh family's law firm because they're so prominent and because forum shopping was so easy, they could choose to file claims in places, in districts, and in courts where they knew the people that would get the outcomes they were looking for. Does that make sense?
So as the lawyer or as like the person hiring the lawyer, you could do like I choose to do it in a place where I know I'm gonna have good representation, or the lawyer would say like, oh, listen, I know the chief of police in Jonesville. Let's go there.
The person filing the claim doesn't know shit.
Right. Okay,
They're
good.
going. They're going to their lawyer and saying, "How much money can I get for this accident?" They're like,
Hmm.
"Oh, yeah, we'll figure it out." They'll file the claim wherever they know where their golfing buddy is the judge.
Yeah.
Ask for a bench trial, right?
Hmm.
And move forward. That so, anyways, like that's a big part of this is that this family again stacks all the chips in their favor. It's kind of like the movie The Firm. We're referencing a lot of movies today. You've seen The Firm, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. But it's kind of like that. They just seem like they would basically do anything to maintain their influence and power in this neck of the woods.
Part of the
Um,
firm I remember is when they were dancing in the living room and Tom Cruise turns the music up because he knows the house is bugged.
it was
That's
such
in the
a.
firm, right?
It was so yeah. It was such a happy, awesome movie when he's just like a happy-go-lucky law student,
No.
and then it's just derails so hard. Most of the following that I'm going to list off to you really has nothing to do with the main story that we're talking about, but it is pertinent to the type of people that we're talking about.
Hmm.
The following are a list of, let's just call them events, that this family has been involved in. Number one, in 2015, a gay teen named Stephen Smith was found dead on a road in one of these Murdaugh counties. It was
Hmm.
rumored that Alex's other son, Buster, was involved in a relationship, like a sexual relationship with Stephen. The death was ruled a hit and run at the time, and they had no suspects. Local papers that I read all but came out and said that this family covered this up and made
Uh-huh.
it seem like a hit and run. So that an investigation actually just restarted into this kid's death because now that everything happened that I'm going to go into, they're like, something. There's more to this story.
So I feel like I wish you hadn't said his name Buster in the middle of telling that story because the story is terrible and it's also a fucking delight that his name is Buster.
You think
And I
Arrested
just,
Development?
of course I am. This is exact. It's just like it's so funny and hilarious. Like, could you imagine? And like, um, did you know that Job in Arrested Development was named that way after Jeb Bush? Because
Seriously?
Jeb Bush, his name is his initials. His name's like Joe Edward Bush. And that's what
Wow,
J
really?
Job's name is like John Oliver Bluth or whatever.
That's
Anyway,
incredible. Yeah, I didn't know
it's
that.
making fun of him because Jeb Bush's name is his initials.
Except you missed it because it wouldn't be John because Job is Gob. Because
Oh, right,
remember
right.
they
Yes.
they would call him Gob.
Anyway, it's just hilarious to be named Buster these days. And I can't believe that you would call him that. But also, I feel like you meet rich people all the time named like Pussy Willow. They're like,
I,
oh, this is
man,
Poppy. Like,
I mean, if you come to the witches market, you'll meet a lot more of them.
but anyway,
Um,
that story is terrible. And I'm so sorry for
yeah,
that
absolutely.
poor boy's family. And that's absolutely awful.
Yeah, and the
They deserve
second thing,
justice.
yeah,
Yeah.
of course, and presumably they're going to get there because, like I said, the
Yep.
case has been reopened. The second side track here is in 2018. The family housekeeper of the Murdaughs, Gloria, fell down the stairs of their estate and ultimately died. The circumstances of this were suspicious for a number of reasons, but the most telling of which was Alex trying to steal the proceeds of this woman's life insurance policy, like steal it, not like he
Ew.
wasn't in charge of it. He wasn't gonna like be the executor of her estate or anything. He was outright just gonna steal it. This part, I dug so deep, Taylor, to find an answer to this because she was insured to the tune of $4.3 million.
What?
That's crazy. I mean, I don't know if you have life insurance. I have life insurance. My life is not worth 4.3 million. Like,
No, I have like my work life insurance
yeah.
and yeah, it's not that much. It's very much less.
So I don't get how whatever. Like that's just it's in bold here of like keep digging, trying to figure out why her life insurance policy was the way that it was. But anyways, that's number two of weird fuckery with this family. The third and really the biggest and one that actually is pertinent to this story is in 2019, Paul, the youngest son, went out boating with friends drunk as shit, wrecked the boat, and killed his friend Mallory as a result. And to show
Oh
how
my
much
God.
influence this family actually had, after the accident, Paul wasn't given a field sobriety test. He wasn't taken to jail. He wasn't booked. He wasn't handcuffed. Nothing. He just called his
Oh my
dad.
God.
His dad's like, I'm going to come down. I'll take care of it. Privilege. Like these people are fucking next
Yeah,
level.
like you can kill someone privileged. I'm looking up how many people die falling down the stairs, and I'm like, I can't tell if this what I just found is just the US, but I think it is because it's from the National Safety Council. Guess how many people die a year falling down the stairs?
Okay, because if you include old people, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be at least 10,000.
It's 12,000.
Yeah.
That's more than I thought.
Yeah.
Continue.
But I mean, there's probably not many like 30-year-olds who are dying falling downstairs, right? I would assume
Yeah,
the bulk of that 12,000 are going to be like seniors.
yeah,
Which I
probably.
heard that like falling as a senior is literally the biggest health hazard, like
Yeah,
that could kill you.
you're right.
It's terrifying. Um,
But yeah, that's awful, and also for that poor girl dying in a boat accident.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Except it unlocked a lot of things. So that
Mm.
accident sounds like it kind of started everything that we're about to go into.
Mm-hmm.
So going back to that part of it, suffice to say that Alex had his hands in many white collar crimes, given the fact that he was trying to
Mm.
misappropriate funds and he's doing cover ups and all the other shit that I just
Oh.
went into. As part of the lawsuit that was filed by Mallory's family against the Murdaughs because of the wrongful
Mm-hmm.
death suit that they were going to file, financial records were being requested, Or more accurately, Alex was going to be compelled to reveal a ton of financial information that just would not have looked good. This date is
Got it.
important. A hearing was scheduled for June 10th of 2021.
Hmm.
That was to decide whether Alex would have to turn over his financial records.
In relation to the death of the girl on the boat?
Yeah. Yeah.
How come? Why?
Well, because part of it is that when you tabulate damages in civil cases,
Oh, you know to their net worth and all that?
you need to know like what you're going after, what assets are available, what you're actually asking for. A lot of times what you're going to do is look at lost potential earnings in the future, pain and suffering
Mm-hmm.
and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually a proportion of what that person can give.
Got it.
And so that's part of what they're asking for. It's always the trail of money that fucks people. Like remember this, folks. Like if you're doing shady shit, the issue is never getting the money. The issue are the waypoints that money takes as it travels before it gets to you.
Yeah. And you were also not the King of England. To just another thing. I feel like this guy probably thought that he was like untouchable because he was like the lawyer king of the county. But you're
Yeah.
like, it's not the same. Like you can't, I mean, some people are like above the law and they shouldn't be, but this guy's not above the law. He just thought that he
Yeah.
was, right?
Yeah. He sounds kind of like the combination of arrogance mixed with stupidity. But because he's so privileged, he doesn't know that. Because he's
Yeah.
like, everywhere I go, the seas part. So like I'm great, you know?
Yeah. Totally.
So I'm gonna get to red flag number one. I don't know very much about Maggie, but she did a really interesting thing around this time. Around the time of pre being compelled to reveal financial information by the court, she hired a forensic accountant to look into her own family's finances. You know
Hmm.
what a forensic accountant does, right?
Yeah, like looks at everything with a fine tooth
Yeah.
comb. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's like a personal audit of your own finances. Like where
Mm-hmm.
did money come from? How to So she knew something was wrong, but was hands
Mm-hmm.
off enough to not know exactly what. I'm
Mm-hmm.
kind of going to blame Maggie for this. For reasons I'll get into a little bit later. It seems that as early as 2016, the super obvious shady financial shit was kind of right under her nose. Like she was a part of
Right.
it in a way.
Mm-hmm. Like there's no way
Um,
she didn't know.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
What I'm going to tell you later on happened in 2016. I mean, I think anybody would have just had like alarm bells ringing in their head.
Mm-hmm.
So things are unraveling. Alex is about to be forced by the court to give up his financial secrets, and if that doesn't get him, his wife's forensic accountant surely will. It's also worth noting that by now, at this point, Alex and Maggie are estranged. They live separately at one of their beach homes. So they're kind of just like walking past each other and whatever. They're not like really close.
That
And
is very, very Bluth family of them.
God, you're right. I love that you brought up the rest. I need to go back and watch the rest of the development.
I mean,
Okay, another quick sidetrack. I'm gonna run through the TLDR of just what we know of Alex's financial fuckery. His trial actually started 3 days ago. We're recording
oh,
this on
wow.
Saturday, January 28th. So a ton more is about to come out. But here's a short list, and I'm going to leave out a ton of details because otherwise, just this section alone could be 45 minutes and you'd fall asleep driving. So here is the shit Alex is accused of: stealing, or at least attempting to steal, his housekeeper's $4.3 million life insurance claim, his deaf client's life support mysteriously being unplugged after Alex represented him in his traffic
Oh my
accident,
God.
and then handling the wrongful death suit that followed. $800,000 to $1 million of that settlement went missing. A woman was
Oh.
killed in a crash who Alex represented. She never received, or her family never received, $112,000 of that settlement. Another woman, another woman's family, another woman who was killed by a drunk driver was told by this Alex that the settlement was 30,000 when it was actually 180,000. Yeah, I mean, drop in the bucket. His financial crimes alone amount to misappropriating around $8.7 million.
Wow.
So think about that, 8.7 million. And what I mentioned earlier, he never got the 4.3 million of that life insurance policy he was trying to steal. So like
Right.
4.3, like it is just 8.7 that he actually got around to
Mm-hmm.
stealing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's Alex for you.
Gross.
Let's get to the murders because
He should be in jail
obviously,
for that alone.
so I'm gonna talk about that.
Okay.
The prosecutors on that piece said something really really interesting that I'm gonna get to. So let's get to the murders because obviously there's gonna be murders on June 7th of 2021. So 3 days before his motion is to be heard, Alex calls the police saying he found the bodies of his son and wife at their hunting lodge. They'd been shot repeatedly with different weapons. Convenient.
Yeah, that would
Alex,
happen at a hunting lodge. What? Continue. That's
yeah,
so funny.
yeah, it all tracks, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
Alex says that during the killing, he was with his parents, who conveniently for him have dementia. So that's
Mm-hmm.
his alibi.
Mm-hmm.
Reminder again, Alex and Maggie weren't close this time. Apparently, Alex wanted to meet up with Maggie that night, and Maggie had texted a friend that Alex sounded, quote, fishy and, quote, up to something. She didn't want to go. Like her alarm bells were ringing. But Alex had told her that, hey, let's go visit my father together. And Maggie was like, fuck that. I don't want to try that. So
How long? But they were married for like a long time.
93 to 21. So what is that?
30 years?
28 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So a long time.
Yeah, it's legit. Red flag number 2 that I wrote here is listen to your gut. If your gut tells you someone is giving off bad vibes, there's
Mm-hmm.
probably a reason for that.
Totally.
I mean, you've had that experience, right? Before, Taylor, where like somebody invites you out or somebody like you're with someone and like for whatever reason, like, man, I don't know what it is about you. I just don't fucking like you. Like,
Yeah. You're like, I just gotta go.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the case here. Like Maggie legit was like, I'm not doing this. And he just
Mm-hmm.
insisted and insisted and insisted, and then finally she relented.
It sounds like she was so close. I mean, not that she's innocent, but it sounds like she was close to leaving. But then also, remember we were talking about how when you're leaving an abusive relationship, whether however abusive he was, like definitely like psychologically, he's obviously crazy. Like you, that's such a dangerous time. So like, what did she know that he didn't want people to know?
You see, you're getting into motives right now, and
Okay, fine.
applying motives here is going to get really murky. They were not in an abusive relationship, for what it's worth. Apparently, they seemingly had like this like charmed, king and queen of the
Right.
court vibe in South Carolina. Um,
Right. I just mean
going,
like as like he's I guess I'm thinking that like she's like he's being weird
yeah,
recently, you know?
yeah. There's something going on with them. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So, like I said, Maggie ultimately relented to this insistence meeting at the lodge. We're kind of going to leave this part of the story here. Maggie arrives, her son Paul is there. Alex calls the police roughly an hour after their estimated time of death. And that's it. So we're going to move on.
Okay.
7 weeks. Go ahead. Sorry.
I want to know more about tell me later.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're definitely going. We're going to
Okay,
circle back.
great.
7 weeks after this event. So in September, geez, beer's catching up to me. 7 weeks after this event, so in September, Alex resigns, quote unquote, from his family firm because they too had gotten wise to his financial shenanigans.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, resigns a nice way to put it. They just told him to pack his shit and get out,
Mm-hmm.
basically.
Mm-hmm.
He had devised so many ways to swindle money: fake invoices, fake bills, fake hours worked, charging personal expenses to his clients in the firm, funneling money through multiple bank accounts. It's weird how he was smart enough to do all of this and not smart enough to know that it was a complete house of cards.
It's just so
Prosecutors,
much work.
yeah,
Yeah.
prosecutors also called this a Ponzi scheme. Remember when I brought that up with the
Mm-hmm.
tote? Like they also say he was Ponzi scheming himself, essentially, just the same way
Mm-hmm.
Tony Tote was. Um, it gets this piece alone gets so complicated because he was also really close friends with the president of this secondary bank that was like on the side that he was using
Mm-hmm.
to funnel all this money. He did a lot of fucked up shit and brought a lot of people into his issues.
Yeah,
So,
totally.
the thing I don't really understand is, given his prominence, he would have been fine as just like a normal civil litigation lawyer. It
Yeah.
was it was reported that his annual salary was around $250,000 a year. I think that's an understatement though, because it sounds like he was a partner in the firm, given that it was
Hmm.
family. And if he was, he would have been part of their profit sharing.
Right.
But even
Like,
without it, I would assume 250 grand in South Carolina. Like it's not 250 grand in LA. Like in South Carolina, it's probably a super comfortable life for a family of
yeah,
four,
that's a
right?
lot of money. I did you watch the Bernie Madoff doc on
Yes.
Netflix? So like same with him, like he had a legitimate business that was doing well, but he like needed, I don't know, like control or
What is
like
it? Yeah.
more or more and more, and you're willing to do stuff that you know is illegal to get more.
Yeah.
And you're like, was it when is enough enough? And it's probably never.
Probably never. I don't think these guys have that
Yeah.
pause button. And Alex definitely didn't. So as an example of conspicuous consumption that made no sense given his income and that shockingly nobody caught on to,
Hmm.
the lodge where his son and wife were ultimately killed, it was a 1,700 acre estate. Like this
Whoa.
was not some deer lease in the middle of shit fuck nowhere. This
Hmm.
was immense. The property was listed for sale after these murders at 3.9 million after the murders. So
I
like
know.
you would imagine that that probably means it's worth like 6-7 million, right? Without fucking ghosts haunting the property.
Totally, totally. Wow. Yeah, like the house in Celebration that was so much less than the others after someone murders their family in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They also had a beach house, like I said earlier. That's where Maggie
Yeah.
and Alex were mostly living, and that was recently sold for just shy of $1 million. Again, looking at this, like you just go off of like the market rate after the murders, 3.91 million. That's like $5 million in property.
Yeah, totally.
You don't. Nobody thought to themselves, "How's this guy?" If you're like a fellow lawyer, or you're like, "How the fuck is Alex?" Like,
Well, I think I would assume it was family money. Wouldn't
actually, yeah, that's fair. That's
I'd
fair.
be like, "Oh, you're from a line of rich people. I imagine that you have property."
Yeah, actually, that's a really good point. My mind, I mean, obviously, I don't come from that, so like my mind went to like, if I just started like buying Lambos all cash,
Right.
people should ask questions, right?
No, I'd make a call.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So let me go back. Hold on. You're good. All good.
I'm back. I left you.
All good.
Okay.
So, so going back to how aware Maggie was or wasn't,
Hmm.
one thing Alex did in 2016 is convey the 1,700 acre estate to his wife for $5.
Hmm.
So it seems like Alex started to suspect that this house of cards was eventually going to collapse.
Right.
What's so fucking stupid about it, though, is that Maggie's will was never updated. So there's a 2005 version of this will that said, in the event of her death, everything conveys to Alex.
Hmm.
So he later tries to uninherit the property so that it wouldn't be considered part of his assets and that it could convey to his son Buster. So I'll
So
slow it
he
out a
should
little
have
bit.
given it to, so he gave it to someone, but he needed to give it to someone else.
He should have not killed his wife.
Well, yes, that's our
Because
overarching theme. But
no, because if he didn't kill his wife and he just went down for the financial crimes, then creditors wouldn't be able to attach the property
right,
to
right.
his debts.
But because she was dead, it came back to him.
It conveyed back. Yeah.
Okay.
I know, Taylor. I know we're not
Don't
supposed to
kill your
kill our
don't kill your
spouses.
spouse. Stop it.
Like
Stop
I said in the
thinking about
beginning,
if you're thinking about it, don't do it.
like I said, we're the only podcast in America who consistently advocates against murdering your family. So we should
Others
get,
are really for it. So
yeah, we should get gold
that's
points
all
for
I'm
that.
at. Yeah, yeah.
So that was the entire idea. The entire idea was he knew in 2016 something was about to go down,
Hmm.
and he wanted to keep the bulk of his net worth, which is in these properties, out of creditor's hands in the
Right.
court's hands so that eventually it could be inherited by his son. That was the entire idea around this. And then like how he connected the dots, like, let me just kill her. And like, again, motives, we'll get into that in a minute. Anyways, so we're back to the events. The next day, the day after he is booted out of his law firm, Alex claims that he was shot in the head while changing a car tire. Do you remember this?
I forgot this part.
Fucking incredible. It's so incredible.
Oh my God, tell me more.
He apparently had one of those Suge Knight headshots where it just kind of glanced him. So physically, he was totally fine. He went to the hospital. He was there for like a couple of hours, and he dipped. 10 days after this event, I love this detail. 10 days after this event, his oxy dealer, a guy named Curtis, was arrested for conspiring with Alex to shoot him with the intent on killing him so that his remaining son would receive a $10 million insurance payout. So he knows a guy named Curtis who sells him oxy, who he called, listen, and I know a lot of folks who like slang and it's all good. I don't know any that I would call and say, I want you to be a part of an incredibly intricate insurance fraud scheme where I
Well, who
need
else
you
are you
to
gonna
do.
call if not your drug dealer?
So he could have killed himself. He didn't know this, but in most, this guy's not like, he's actually, I don't think he's that smart or that good of a lawyer. He like practiced law the way I practice law. So he could have killed himself because in South Carolina, you can kill yourself and still get the insurance payout. In most states, you can't, right? In most states, if you kill yourself, you can't get the insurance payout. He didn't know that. That's
Oh
why
my God.
that's why he called Curtis and was like, buddy.
He just was like watching movies where you learn you can't do that and like wasn't actually checking the law.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
I
Okay.
just keep picturing this guy playing FIFA at home and getting this phone call. Like, anyways.
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Ugh, that's so funny.
And it only took 10 days. Like, it was, yeah, that's how long it took for them to arrest him. Alex
I don't
later.
understand. I'm so sorry, but like I feel like if I had a gun, I could kill you. I don't think I could graze your head if I feel like I could do it.
It's his oxy dealer. Like, we're not talking like a trained assassin. This is not like
I
the
think it'd be much harder to
Sicarios.
graze someone's head on purpose than it would be to kill them.
Dude, this guy was about good times. Like, he's not out there like trying to run down cartel members. Like, this is not
Oh my
like a
goodness.
John Woo movie. Like,
Right.
odd choices being made. Alex later admitted to coming up with the whole scheme because, of course, he did. Because Curtis didn't think of this on his own, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And like I said, like, he literally just killed himself, and it would have been totally cool and fine.
Wow. It's so funny that he didn't know that. I mean,
Yeah.
that's ridiculous. Continue.
So let's recap, okay?
Okay.
At this point, your kid is responsible for sure for killing one kid. Your other kid maybe killed another kid.
Right.
You certainly had a hand in killing your wife and kid. You've been fired and you've tried killing yourself, which you actually could have done the last part first.
Earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, what? Again, going into the motive, like, why did the sequencing of events?
He just like absolutely not. I'm not going to give any man money to his wife and his first kid. He wants to give it all to Buster.
Yeah, maybe he just fucking hated them. I don't know.
The money is in the banana stand.
Buster's the golden child. God, I wish he only had one hand too. That'd be incredible.
Oh my God. It's so good.
So Taylor, like, if you were in this situation, right? What would you do? Like, would you go to jail forever, or would you find a way to get the fuck out?
I feel like I would go to jail forever because I would give up, but I also can't imagine being in this situation because I feel like I would have made better decisions. But if I were, I mean, I don't know, what are your choices? Like, I feel like there's a choice. I'd be like, oh, would I, want to die by suicide and not go to jail? Obviously, he's like not able to do that. So, I mean, that's a terrible thing to say too. I apologize, but like, I don't know if it's a tough. If you're staring down the rest of your life in prison, I don't know what you do.
So I'm for
But
sure running. Like,
You are?
no questions asked. Like, not even a
Okay.
single second of doubt. I've already planned this out.
Okay,
Yeah.
don't stop telling me.
I wrote like multiple bullet points on how it's gonna. So the secret that nobody knows
Oh
is
no.
that you have to do it before your passport's flagged. So the second,
Mm,
like, you don't wait until the shoe is about to drop. You dip 2 weeks before the shoe's about to drop,
got
right?
it.
Like way before you're about to kill your, like in 2016 when he was going to convey the
Right.
property, that's when you
He should have
dip.
just
You don't,
left.
yeah, you don't wait until your kid kills another kid in 2019 because you know he's going to. Come on, Paul probably did a lot of fucked up shit, right?
Yeah.
Like killing Mallory probably wasn't the first sign that something was going to happen
Right.
with Paul. So he
Right.
probably knew what was going on. But yeah, you just go leave, go to a different country, get a bunch of travel checks, find a bunch of friends in different countries, send them your traveler's checks and your credit cards, have them charge shit on it. So that now you have multiple tracks,
Oh, that's
right?
smart. Mm-hmm.
And then it's a that could be a cool social network idea. But anyways, um
That's okay.
I have ideas.
Well, I'm glad you told me all of this, but also you just implicated yourself if you try to run away. But that's a great idea.
But I can be anyone, right? I can be Greek, I can be Hispanic, I can be, Italian. Like I'm like ethnically androgynous, I think is a term. Great
Maybe.
spot to be in.
That's amazing.
Um, okay, so we're going back to the story. Like I said, the trial just began. So we don't
Okay.
know much more than what is being kind of stated here.
Hmm.
But I have some thoughts in general on the case in cases like this I want to go into with you. So
Yeah, totally.
as I was digging into the story, it occurred to me that the only things I remember about this case were prominent lawyer's wife and kid are found dead.
Hmm.
And then months later, a prominent lawyer whose wife and kid were found dead is shot in the face and survives.
Right.
That's kind of all I really
I didn't know about like
recall.
the boys potentially killing people or all the financial crimes.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
the more I learned about this guy and what he was up to, the more curious it got. And it made me think about the
Hmm.
salacious versus the nuanced parts of true crime.
Hmm.
Like I went super deep on this, and the things
Hmm.
Alex was involved in, you could write a treatise on just his financial crimes. And
Hmm.
that shit's boring. But it does paint a picture of a person who, once you get to the salacious part of the,
Hmm.
like, it leads to the salacious part of everything. The insane,
Hmm.
boring, financial, white collar bullshit is why all the rest of this stuff ends up happening.
Right. So that's like the red flag. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yes.
I,
Yeah.
I, I wrote down that this really did remind me a lot of the Tote family for reasons that I mean, for reasons like you would know if you listen to that podcast. This one doesn't gross me out the way that one did
Hmm.
because things that he did just don't seem as like, I don't know.
It doesn't sound like, well, I know you're gonna tell me more, but it doesn't sound like he was like in the house with their dead bodies for a week.
It was just less depraved. I don't know how to
Yeah.
describe it. Like I mean,
But also that's terrifying because it sounds like it was like very like systematic, just like I don't
yeah,
know. I don't know how to
yeah.
describe it anymore.
But it reminds me, it reminded me of a lot of that, just like a lot more elaborate version of that, and that people just weren't asking the right questions around like what this
Hmm.
guy's inner workings of his finances were. We just thought that this guy was incredible. Nobody really went further than that. And your
Hmm.
point actually makes a lot of sense to me now. We're like, oh, it's probably just family money, so don't ask, right? Like why?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like, good point. I didn't think about it that way,
Yeah, I
but
feel like you don't buy a hunting lodge, you like inherit it. But he maybe bought it.
yeah, I don't know.
Maybe he bought it, but like it feels like something I'd be like, oh, I assume that my rich friend Muffy has a hunting lodge.
Yeah, it's same with people who have boats, right? It's always that rich
Yeah,
friend with the boat.
exactly.
So it made me think a lot of like how with these situations, these stories, it always kind of boils down to two things: it's money or infidelity. That's basically
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
And somebody feeling like they're gonna get left behind.
Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately, yeah, like it sounds like in this case, obviously money was a big factor in it, and Maggie was aware, but she probably became aware a little bit too late.
Hmm.
As I said about his trial for the murders, the financial crimes haven't actually started yet. They haven't been scheduled or anything
Hmm.
like that. And I told you I'd come back to this. Apparently, just his financial crimes alone would be enough to keep him in jail for the next 900 years.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
I'm not exaggerating. I swear. Like, if he was convicted and given mandatory minimums, it would total between 900 and 1,000 years.
Well, that's a lot of time. He
Yeah.
sounds like a criminal. Jesus.
Yeah. The part I don't totally get is how he thought killing his family would help with the financial stuff.
Right, that's what you're saying. Like, I guess, I mean, I think it sounds like he just didn't want his family to get any of the money.
No, so what the prosecution has been saying about the murders was that it was to distract everyone from his financial crimes.
Oh.
Yeah, he was trying to get away with that, and he was like, "Oh, well, if I kill my family, then nobody's gonna look at me like
Don't kill
here."
your family. That makes things worse. Or maybe better because maybe they were annoying.
Yeah,
I feel like
I just
it's like
don't.
I mean, I don't know. Like you don't kill people, and that's crazy. That
Yeah,
like
the
I don't know.
dots just aren't there. Like Anyways, his defense is someone. Oh, yeah, that's right. His defense to all of this is that someone was upset with his son for causing Mallory's death on the boat,
Hmm.
and that person is the person who probably killed them. But we don't know who it is.
Hmm.
There's
Hmm.
nothing. That's the
Sure,
only
sure,
argument
sure.
that he has.
Right.
It's like is
Is he trying to find the killer? Like fucking
yes,
OJ?
yes.
Like what are you doing?
He's working on his first draft of If I Did It.
Right.
Random fact that you might know, given your podcast diet. Alex's defense attorney is a guy named Dick Harpootlian. Does that ring a bell?
No.
Damn. Okay.
Who's he?
So he was the prosecutor in South Carolina who prosecuted and got life before he got ended up getting death, getting life for Pee Wee Gaskins. Do you remember him?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the redneck Charles
Whoa.
Manson.
That's the final truth,
The
right?
final truth. That's the final truth. Uh,
That's
yeah,
funny.
yeah.
I
So
feel like
now
that was like in the 1930s, but I guess not.
no, no, it was not. So now he's his defense attorney. So
Hmm.
yeah, and he sounds like a real piece of shit. Actually,
Yeah.
he said like he says like random casual racist things about the judge who is African American. He's just
Oh,
not like
great.
he doesn't sound. Yeah, he doesn't sound like he's really gone forward with the times in South Carolina there.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's the Murdaugh family, and hopefully once this trial wraps, we'll do like a little postscript and discuss what happened.
So,
But
but he did
yeah,
he shoot? How did the mom and the son die? Did they get shot in the hunting
yeah,
lodge?
the guy was shot in the head multiple times by multiple
And
guns.
did they find the guns?
Yeah,
They're there.
yeah, they found the
Did they
guns.
did they fingerprint the guns?
So I don't the details of the guns. I've seen pictures of them, so I
Hmm.
know they have them, but I don't know the details of whether they were able to. Again, his son killed somebody, and nobody asked him a single question, and didn't book him, and didn't
Yeah.
like fingerprint him. Like it wouldn't be that big of a stretch of the imagination for them to be like, "Hey, can we take gun residue off your fingers?" Like what are you talking about? Why would you do that to me? I'm Alex.
And I feel like the other thing is if he hadn't have done that staged try to kill herself thing, m- maybe he could have gotten away with it more so. Like it was like that made him look so much more guilty than anything else ever could.
It wasn't staged. He was trying to kill himself, and he failed. Like
I
that's
just don't understand. I feel like I'd be like, do it again. Like that doesn't. I don't understand. That makes no sense. Did the guy
I
have like
don't.
one bullet?
So I don't like this guy probably didn't know that his story was national news. Like, I mean, I think at the time we were living in LA, right?
Yeah,
Maybe.
maybe. Yeah,
And we were hearing about this
yeah.
like as front page news because it was just an insane story. And it's like, did he not know that people were paying attention? That this wasn't in like the backwoods of South Carolina? Like this was
Hmm.
national news. I mean, maybe not,
Hmm.
but he tried to shoot himself with Curtis in the head, and Curtis fucked up because he's probably high on fucking oxys and didn't.
I don't think Curtis gets high in his own supply. He feels.
Yeah, you think Curtis has a good reputation?
I do. That yeah. I don't. That no, no, no. I don't because I don't understand how you can not. If someone's asking you to do that, I don't understand how you don't do it. I don't.
Yeah,
I guess. I mean, I guess if you can chick. Not. Oh my God, this is terrible. Not chicken out because obviously I don't think I could physically do it. Maybe he got like sick and like well, I can't do it. But either way, I mean, I guess all the things. It's confusing because you're like, why are all these people making these decisions that seem super irrational. And like you were saying, like he could have died by suicide, and by law, the money would have gone to Buster, and that would have been what he wanted. But then he just didn't do that. Like people are just making like weird irrational decisions.
Yeah.
Um, is
Yeah,
Buster
actually, what would have happened, like, if I remember anything from family law, is because his wife died before he died, all
hmm
of her assets conveyed to him. So when
right.
he died, if they had filed a suit, which they had on the financial crimes
hmm
and on the wrongful death crime, that would have not gone to Buster. It would have
Oh,
stayed with the court until a resolution was reached with his former clients and creditors.
but no matter how he died.
Yeah, his only out would have been to either have his wife change her will, then kill her, so that it would convey to Buster. That's actually the only way to do it. Yeah. He should have done that. He should have just killed
Yeah.
her. He should have just like gone her, taken her to the family law office, changed the who gets everything when she dies, and then killed her then. Or just not at all.
Wow. Or it's not, don't, just not at all.
Yeah. I'm trying to do the math on how to actually get this. I'm trying to figure out how the fuck do we get Buster paid? Um,
Yeah. How, tell me more about how the Southern Gothicness of this.
yeah. Have you seen pictures of this family?
Yes.
When I hear the term grotesque characters,
hmm
I think of these guys. I think of the sons and the dad mostly, not the mom
hmm
necessarily. They just seem. I thought of Savannah too. I know that South Carolina.
hmm
I know it's in Georgia, not South Carolina, but I thought a lot of like Savannah heat, humidity, like
hmm
discomfort that you have to like revel in, and
hmm
being of this like elite status there, where like
Yeah.
you're the king of fucking a place that nobody wants to really be king at. And I don't know, it just all kind of like gave me this like southern witchy vibe of
Yeah.
like, of course you're also involved in killing teenagers and
hmm
like all the other things.
Yeah, I feel like in like I feel like the nighttime is very loud because there's like bugs
Yeah,
everywhere, and the humidity is like hanging, and then like the obviously Midnight and Good and Garden of Good and Evil, it's very like creepy and witchy, but also there's like they have these like wonderful like social gatherings where like everyone is just like trying to cool off and like survive and like be together.
that one you definitely heard. And you're breaking out, Taylor.
Oh no, why?
Yeah,
I
you're totally
don't-
breaking out.
No, oh, it says my internet connection's unstable. Elon.
Okay, you're good now.
Okay. Um, no, I just think it's like, you're thinking of a heavy nighttime vibe because of the air and because of the bugs and because of the humidity and, you know, weird stuff happens. It's also like loud but quiet and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a
It's
part of
crazy.
it that like is hitting me a little bit, that when you're in the South, again, growing up in Texas, within certain socioeconomic status, there is absolutely no diversity.
hmm
Everybody dresses the same, has the same teams, love the same sports, go to the same
hmm
bars. They end up marrying the same. They go to the
hmm
same church. And the only things that stand out is when someone's different. And when they're different, there's an animus attributed to them that results them becoming famous, like, or famous for wrong reasons, like in the Garden of Good and Evil, right? Like
hmm
it's there's a piece of that resonates with this story for me, which is everybody was different because
hmm
nobody was in this fucked up world of privilege mixed with also just constantly doing shady shit. Like
hmm
it's very compelling.
Yeah,
And
and it was definitely like about to come crashing down in some way. There
it
was
was
no
going
way
to
it
come
wasn't going to crash down.
It's also interesting to me because like I don't actually find these people that sad. Like I don't feel the same way that I felt when I talked about the Toad family and like what
Hmm.
those kids went through because I'm just
Yeah.
like, do I really give a fuck about Paul? Paul sounds like a shithead.
Yeah.
Paul
No,
sounds like a fucking
absolutely.
absolute shithead. Like, sure, like,
Hmm.
am I happy? I'm not happy that a 22-year-old kid is dead. Obviously, he could have
Hmm.
been something different. But
Of
I mean,
course.
he grew up in this family. Like, he was whatever. I'll just get fucked up and just drive this boat, and whoever died. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
These people just don't seem sympathetic to me.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. Um, yeah, I'm curious. I wonder what's going to happen. I wonder if he's going to like confess and tell everybody what happened or not, because I feel like there's no, I'm pretty sure he did it. It
Yeah,
makes no,
yeah.
nothing else makes any sense, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Dick Harpootlian's argument is that there's video of him with Paul, like having a great time planning a tree like hours before this murder.
That means
He's like,
nothing.
how could this guy possibly
Yeah.
flip a switch? And it's like he's clearly a sociopath. I didn't say this, but like I glanced over it, but like that guy was the one that they think he unplugged the life support from.
Right.
He was in a horrible accident where like he needed round the clock support. Like he couldn't live
Hmm.
on his own anymore.
Hmm.
He was in a assisted living facility, and at that place is when suspiciously this plug came out, and that's how he
Right.
ended up actually ultimately dying. So like he had the upside of the initial suit for the accident, and then he had the upside for the wrongful. Like he's clearly like a fucked up
Yeah.
guy mentally. It's like, yeah, of course you could potentially kill his son after playing with him, but
Yeah. Of
anyway.
course.
Anyways,
Of
that is the
course.
Murdaugh family. Shit,
Yeah, that's horrible.
shitheaded dude. Yeah,
Yeah, and I think, I mean, to tie them together, I think there's something to be like, oh, my family's always been safe because we've always done things this way, you know? And so he probably thought himself above the law because
yeah,
his lineage being like the district attorney and all those things for, almost 100 years, all of that is like, it makes you feel like you can do whatever you want. And then there's times like King Henry VIII could do whatever the fuck he wanted,
yeah.
like in in a way where he was like, okay, well, if I cannot do things like do something against the church, then I'm going to just not have the church anymore. And you're like, okay, okay. And like calling like they called his bluffing did it, So I think there's like and there was so much violence then. I think we see so much less now, honestly, even though we see so much violence. But um if he's Alex Murdaugh sounds like someone who could have easily just like been a violent person in a different time.
The
Like
the extent that certain status people will go
hmm
to get what they want.
hmm
That's really what it is. Get what you want. Like I want to marry 17 women so I can have a son. Like
yeah,
I'll do whatever it takes to get what I want. And I
I have
have
to have
the
this.
ability, yeah, and I have the ability to do it. And this guy's like, I make 250 grand a year. That's not enough. I need millions and millions of property. And so I'm
Hmm.
gonna do whatever it takes to get there. Like it's just
Yeah, yeah.
chill out, guys. Chill out.
Chill
Like be
out.
happy with what you have.
Oh my God. Like, get a good job, but like calm down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there shouldn't be a monarchy anymore. And don't kill your family.
The only podcast in America that advocates that.
Yeah, good for us. Good for us being on the right side of history with
I know,
this
right?
controversial topic.
We're doing fantastic. Um, I hope this audio quality is much better.
I think you sound great.
I will only
Yeah.
know for sure after I finish editing this, but thank you for the feedback, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. And follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Doomed to Fail Pod. Send us
Always.
messages. Let us know if you have any ideas, any questions, any new news. We'd love to, do a follow-up and talk about it. We'll definitely follow up this one because there's more to come here,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
sure. And I'm excited. Thank you, Forrest, after your long day for joining me anyway.
Thank you for being patient with me.
Of course.
Awesome.
No problem.
Bye all.
All right. Thanks, fam. See you later.
Stop